I wanted to bring you along and take you racing with me tonight for a few minutes. I pursued my passion, and the two things that I loved early on were this and this, but not at the same time, not in the same order. And I decided to start two of the craziest, wildest, passion-driven businesses. And the joke is, how do you make a small fortune in racing? You start with a big one. Same thing with the winery. I don't know why we chose both of these businesses to get going on, but that was how we started. I had an early chance to sort of push the reset button 27 years ago and decided to jump into these two businesses and very much enjoy what I do and very much enjoyed what we've done along the way and some of the obstacles as well and some of the things that we learned, which is what I'm talking about tonight. We learned a lot of lessons, but one of the biggest life lessons for me was what I call the endurance racing mentality. And it goes along with never quit. So many times you're challenged in so many ways and you're saying, do I really want to do this? Do I really want to follow my passion? Is it really worth it? And sometimes you have to take a real good look, but for me it always was, I'm a little nervous, but don't stop, never quit. But early on, we started looking and studying how some of these really big motorsports events were won. And it was my dream to be not only a participant in the races, but to potentially ever have a chance to win. And we did. And I call it the endurance racing mentality. And I think in all things, and especially in our world in racing, people look at the stars, they look at the highs, they look at, can we go any faster? What's our top speed, and who are your name brand drivers, and all the things that would tempt you into the dark side. And I say, that's not what we should be focusing on, and not in the racing world, not to win the 24-hour races, and even not in life. It's what can take you down. We go to those races and we study and we look statistically at how did we lose that race, or how did they lose that race, or what was it? And it's never on the top end, it's always on the bottom. And fix the risk first, risk averse. What can take you down, what can take you out? And when you get your basis right, then you can go reach for the stars a little bit. We've learned our lesson both directions. I'd been training and planning for a year, trying to put the endurance racing mentality to work, and I was nervous. We got to that very first race. My heroes were on the track. I was watching our local announcers, Mike Schumann and Mark Ibanez, got their microphones stuck in the window, and they're saying, how are you going to do? How's it going to go? And you're our local guy. And I'm like, I just hope I don't embarrass myself. I'm at my home race with these guys, and it was a great start for us. We won, and it was a really good beginning. And like I like to say, we've worked really hard on building that 8-legged table. And I say that where, there's so many times that the legs can be kicked out, but we still have a table. So we're always working on a backup plan, back to the endurance racing mentality, back to the never quit. A lot of obstacles. For me personally, a lot of losses early on. Family, friends, personal stuff. I had an early, both my parents died tragically when I was young, and in some really weird way, I think it really shaped me, and I try to look at an adverse situation like that and try to turn it into a positive, but it definitely gives me a look to be able to empathize with folks and to understand what they're going through and to try to take that into my world and to a little bit understand how we can make it a little bit better for everybody all the way around. This picture is interesting, one of the crashes we had in one of our races, but this happens a lot in our world. We raced in NASCAR Sprint Cup for 3 years, and the little dance that we do there on the stage with NASCAR, it goes from perfect order to total chaos very, very quickly. I like to say, we can operate at a very, very high level of efficiency, very high output. At the same time, we're being challenged the entire time and being tempted to look the wrong way. So it's very, very difficult in some ways. I want to show you how it can go wrong quickly.
Look at this. Both sides. Oh, and
they hit him. Oh, no. Very big accident. Very, very big accident.
Always thinking about what could go wrong, what could happen, really, really quizzing the crew, the drivers, everything. And like we said when we opened up here, to finish first, you first must finish. And that's a big part of our world and how we try to learn to get through everything together. What was about to happen here was crazy. This was at Le Mans in 2002. Very much enjoyed going there. No idea what was going to happen. We kind of laughed because we were so unprepared for the entire pomp and circumstance. We went there as a little ratty-tat group, but we were good. We were tough, and we were very good at our racing, but we did not expect what we saw. The big semis that had come, the motorhomes that were there. You know, we felt like a little bit of a Rocky Balboa and the Dirty Dozen went to France. And we were there to try to do our best, but what was about to happen really taught us a lesson, and it's a good thing we spent that 10 years working on that endurance racing mentality to try to not make those mistakes, not fall into those temptations, and we didn't, and we won. It was a big moment for us, me and my two co-drivers up on the stage, and we couldn't believe it. It was the beginning of a great role for us and for the company, and that's from my camera looking out. And so sometimes when I'm at the office, if I'm having a bad day, I'll go look at the picture and go back in my office and say, I'm not kidding, actually. So things do happen. One of the things I like to point out a little bit, you know, that we live, like I was saying, we live in this world where we're constantly being tempted the whole time to make these easy mistakes. What was coming next was the epitome of us working hard and studying and listening and learning about that endurance racing mentality. Our big two endurance races in the world are the 24 Hours of Le Mans and the 24 Hours of Daytona, and they both definitely test our spirit, our will. I'm not kidding you. I have a joke when I'm at the Daytona 24 and I'm now mentoring and coaching a lot of the young drivers. They're all looking at their data and they're all thinking about how they're going to go faster and what can they do to improve. And I come in and I'm just like, First, let's go back last year or the year before or the year before that. And let's think about all the things that went wrong to keep those guys from winning that big race. And it wasn't what you guys are looking at right now. Indeed, we have to be competitive. But first, focus on what can take you down. So if you haven't been in a race car, this is what I wanted to show you. We are competing here at the streets of St. Petersburg, Florida. It's a sprint race, and the interesting thing is this is a high-definition roof cam, and I think you'll enjoy it, so sit back and enjoy it. It's a short little clip. But what it shows you, there are 25 world-class athletes in each of these cars. McLaren, Ferrari, Porsche, Aston Martin. Our Aston Martin 007 is the blue car here. And they're all trying to occupy the same piece of real estate at the same time, trying to take each other out, and there's concrete walls on both sides. So turn it up and enjoy. I thought you'd like it. It's kind of like one-on-one at rush hour, but not quite as bad. So it's actually good to see the perspective because I get asked a lot, and people ask, you know, are race car drivers athletes, and what's it like? And I will tell you, from having been in competitive sports my whole life, that this taxes you more than anything you could do. Not only is it physical in the cockpit with everything you're doing with your arms and your legs, but the intensity with your cardio, and also situational awareness, which is a premium in the sport, really seeing what's going on around you, as you can see. And also maybe having a little bit less worries about the fear factor of what happens in these types of things. But it's really exhilarating when you get it right, and when you get it wrong, it isn't so good. But I'm glad I was able to share that with you guys. It was a cool vid, so I wanted to show you. The company's gone on to do some great stuff, and I'm happy to be able to share with you, and so maybe if there's a chance to inspire anybody about following your passion, understanding a little bit about the endurance racing mentality, and never quit, because believe me, I've thought so many times, God, this is hard, but it'll be worth it, and it was worth it. We led the Aston Martin program for the last 5 years here in North America, and happy to have done this. It's going into our 27th year, like I said. And thank you so much. Very much appreciate it.